We're just gonna give it a couple extra minutes, make sure everyone filters in. But I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, enjoying time with your families. Hey everyone, so we're gonna get started at 7:01. But does anyone have any corrections to the minutes while we wait for others to filter in? Any corrections? Okay, there being no corrections, the minutes are approved as written. We will move into new business. Like I said, I hope everyone had a really great Thanksgiving and you're enjoying being home with your families. If you are home, if you're not home, I hope you're enjoying wherever you are. The discussion that we're going to start off with is just about what we want this winter break to look like. I know that we have had this expectation that, there isn't going to be an expectation of attendance for you all or for any of us over the break. You guys have a break for a reason. That said, I also know that there is a pandemic, and over the summer, we also weren't supposed to be doing very much, and that is not necessarily how it happened. And so, in order to get ahead of that, we just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion about what might need to happen, what you guys definitely don't want to happen, what you do want to happen. So, in an effort to have that conversation, here are a few things that we talked about in cabinet this past weekend. And then from there, if anyone has like a strong reaction to anything, or if you have any suggestions yourself, I would love to discuss those with you all. So, as a cabinet, we decided that we will do a call for agenda items on Fridays for the following Sundays. We normally typically meet on Sundays. And so that means over the break, if something comes up that you think that we as a student government should be talking about, it would be best suited to be sent to your co-chairs, who could then notify me, and we could have some sort of cabinet meeting. The minutes of those meetings, if they occur, would then be published to the full Senate, within 48 hours of those meetings occurring. So that was kind of the biggest thing that we decided in terms of a structure for how we would function. Any other like thoughts or comments, or if any cabinet members maybe want to speak to the discussion we had already, that would be greatly appreciated now.
I mean, if anybody wants to kind of, I'll go first if not, but I'll just make sure that on my end, I'll make sure that all of you are updated on what happens in regards to meetings with administrators and whatnot. And then obviously working with Dean Wilkinson on things for next semester with student government, but especially with that, just want to make sure you all are updated on that standpoint and we have like a clear communication of what to expect for next semester. So in case your friends or your constituents have any questions, I'm able to answer them. And whatever questions you have for me, you can facilitate that. My line of communication will be open. This kind of delves into my report, but like essentially all administrators are on the same page about doing things for the break, focusing on obviously family for right now, and then going into next semester, what the this whole talk of COVID for next year is for 2021, then, as the CDC is working through vaccines and whatnot, the FDA, that stuff will probably be coming into conversation also. So just be patient, be wary. So just be smart also over this break. But I'll make sure, as long with Dean Wilkinson, to make sure that we're kind of being transparent with you all. But if anybody has any recommendations further for myself or cabinet or your committee co-chairs, that'd be awesome.
Thank you, Miles. Any other just general thoughts? You could say, I really don't want to do anything student government related for that month. You could say, I'm working on a project right now and I don't know how to keep doing it while we're not in the middle of the semester. Any comments?
If we say we didn't meet at all over break, when would our first meeting back be?
So our first Senate back is that week after the 23rd. I believe it's 7 days before the second, the 25th or the 26th. But your committee would then either meet, after that, if you meet after Tuesday in the week, or your first committee meeting would be the Monday or Tuesday of the following week.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't classes start on the 27th? So are we meeting before classes start if we're meeting on the 26th?
That is a good point. We can recheck that and revisit that conversation. The goal was that certain conversations kind of needed to be had before February started, but if classes aren't starting, then we could probably push that a week. Tim, unless you have something to add.
No, classes need to start. I mean,
yeah.
All
right. So never mind. February 2nd would be the first one then.
That is correct. Sorry, I was pulled away to a text while that was going on.
Yeah. Any other kind of comments? Sorry, Tim, you were supposed to speak.
No, I was just going to say on my end, just so you all know, I mean, a few things that we're obviously going to be focused on. One is we've started to think about how do we reframe programming and the engagement paradigm for next semester. Obviously, our hope is that by early February, we'll have a new director of student engagement programming in place and an assistant director working with student union. But we're starting now to think through, based on what we've learned, how we can continue to try to promote student organization programming as well as unit programming. So at some point, I will most likely be calling on several of you for thoughts and perspectives. So just have that in mind. And obviously I want to be cognizant of your need to take some time away. So I will make sure that Exec is in the loop on that.
Okay. If there are no other thoughts, you can definitely feel free to shoot me a text or an email after this meeting if you think of anything. But the goal would be before finals for us to kind of have some agreed upon expectation for how we will be acting over this winter break, so that we're all on the same page about who's getting updated when and who's involved in what discussions. And like I said, that is definitely something that's open to feedback and opinion. So feel free to send me any thoughts you have after this meeting if you would like. If there are no other comments on this topic, we will move on to our Senate Resolution 9 discussion. I will share my screen, and then Ethan, if you would like to read through your resolution, that would be fine.
Thanks, Allie. This is Senate Resolution 9, a resolution to support the passage of the TREAT Act. Whereas the TREAT Act, otherwise known as the Temporary Reciprocity to Ensure Access to Treatment Act, or S4421 of the 116th United States Congress, and its companion bill, HR 8283 of the 116th United States Congress, aim to provide temporary licensing reciprocity for telehealth and interstate healthcare treatment. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has led to the closure of many businesses and nonprofit organizations, including colleges and universities. Moreover, S.4221 and HR 8283 finds that large areas of the country remain under full or partial stay-at-home orders, precluding the ability to seek routine or elective medical treatment and consultation. And whereas the closing of campus-based in-person learning at institutions of higher education has also meant that up to 1 million students have returned to live with their families across state lines from where they may have been receiving medical care in the university setting. And whereas mental health providers may only offer their services within their state of licensure, state licensing boards typically prohibit health providers from soliciting their services across state lines. An inability to visit a medical professional's office in the state of licensure can render healthcare services inaccessible. Therefore, Wake Forest students not residing within the state of North Carolina may be unable to visit student health services or the University Counseling Center to seek health care services as a result of these restrictions. Thus, Wake Forest students who may typically rely on the SHS or UCC are forced to seek treatment within their state or country of residence, if at all. This dilemma presents a sobering reality. State licensing requirements promulgate inequities in the accessibility of healthcare services during the COVID-19 pandemic, a time when these very services are in especially high demand among students and faculty alike. And whereas data collected by Johns Hopkins University, the Centers for Disease Control, and the COVID-19 Tracking Project indicate that the percentage of positive COVID-19 cases in the US has increased at unprecedented rates since September of 2020. Moreover, the percent of positive COVID-19 cases in the state of North Carolina continues to increase at a dizzying pace, surpassing earlier records set in the spring of 2020. With COVID-19 cases continuing to rise, there is a possibility that institutions of higher learning will be forced to close their campuses for in-person instruction. In the event that universities close their campuses in the spring semester, thousands, perhaps millions of students will be without critical healthcare services provided by their respective institutions of higher learning. It is also possible that further travel restrictions will be implemented over the holiday to curb the spread of the virus, exacerbating existing healthcare inequities. And whereas health and well-being is one of the most pressing concerns for Wake Forest students more broadly, and this student government more specifically. And whereas this resolution and the TREAT Acts more broadly have received the unanimous support of the Wake Forest University Counseling Center per extended correspondence with Dr. Nathaniel Ivers, Dr. Jose Villalba, and Dr. Daniel Paredes. Therefore, be it resolved, the Wake Forest student government will support the passage of the bipartisan TREAT Acts to ensure that students across the country, but Demon Deacons in particular, have access to telehealth services and interstate healthcare treatment. Respectfully submitted. I know that might be a lot, especially if you have not read over the bill prior to today's meeting. I will just say that this is something which I think is very important, something which the University Counseling Center has recognized as a need for our students, but also students across the country. And I'm proud to sponsor this legislation. So with that, I will yield the remainder of my time back to the chair and would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. We will then move into questions on the legislation. So reminder, this is just to clarify any points of confusion you might have or to gain further information, not to debate or discuss. I will set a timer for 2 minutes. If you would like this to extend longer than 2 minutes, then you may feel free to motion to extend the question period. I will start my timer now. Please use the raise hand function if you would like to ask a question. Khalil, yes.
Yeah, here's what I'm still trying to understand. I agree with everything on here. I think it's a great bill, but it's a problem that's, it's like a federal problem that's still trying to make it through the Senate and the House. So say we do pass this in our Senate, then what?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Khalil. So the first step, I think, to passing any piece of legislation, especially legislation that is stuck in committees like it is at the federal level at the present, is to start from the bottom up. I believe that firmly. And so what this resolution would aim to do is to provide the necessary support for such resolutions. And then from there, I will hope to work with the University Counseling Center's lobbyists and relevant organizations to help promote this. This resolution will be an affirmation of not only our support, but our feelings that this resolution is necessary for the healthcare treatment of our students who may not have access to campus services. So in essence, this will be the first step in a larger lobbying effort. But I think it's an important and necessary first step.
Thank you, Khalil, for your question. Tim Erde, you had a question?
Yeah, kind of going off of similar thing to Khalil, but what exactly are we trying to like accomplish with the passage of this bill specifically, not just starting kind of the longer process, but is there like a direct action that we're hoping comes from passing this rather than just releasing some sort of statement that says that we support the TREAT Act?
Yeah, thank you, Tim. So, I mean, just a reminder, I mean, resolutions are not meant to give specific action steps. By and large, resolutions are an affirmation of our views. So, like I said, this is really meant to be the first step in that process, but I think it's nonetheless an important one.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Ethan. Nick Briggs, you have a question, and then in the absence of a motion to extend time, we will move on to debate and discussion. Nick Briggs.
Yeah, just a quick question for you, Ethan. So does Wake Forest not currently provide the means for students to access these resources on a remote level from home when we are on vacation?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So it depends on where the state you reside in. Certain states have passed emergency orders, like mine, for example, in Colorado, which enable students to have telecommunications with either the Student Health Services or the University Counseling Center. Some states do not have that, however. And even if they do have those orders, they have by and large set to expire by certain dates. So either the governor will have to renew those orders or the federal government will have to step in and act. I think it would be a much more efficient solution if the federal government did act on this, because at that point, it could just be at the responsibility of federal agents to decide whether or not this should be invoked and whether temporary reciprocity is allowable. So this, I think, is a much needed solution. As I mentioned, inequities are very much present, especially with the pandemic. So hopefully that answers your question, but in essence, it depends on the state you reside in. Yeah.
All right, thank you everyone for your questions. We're going to move into debate and discussion. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. Please raise your hand if you have a question, and if we run into a situation where more people have questions than there is time, you can either motion to extend debate and discussion, or I will finish calling off the names that had their hands raised before the timer went off. So with that, I'm starting the time now. Does anyone have anything to contribute to debate and discussion?
Motion to move the previous question. Like motion to move into voting procedure.
Second.
All right, can those in favor please raise your hand using the raise hand function? As a reminder, by raising your hand, you're agreeing that we should move to vote on the legislation. Okay. I'm going to lower all your hands now. Could anyone opposed to moving to vote, please raise your hand now. All right, we will move to vote on the legislation at hand. We will do this by a roll call vote. Caroline will call your name. As a reminder, your choices are yes, no, and abstain. Yes is a vote in the affirmative supporting this legislation. No is a vote in the negative saying that this should not pass, and abstention does not count for the total vote purposes and is neither in favor of nor against the legislation. So with that, Caroline, you are good to go.
Kate,
Yes.
Michael Walsh,
Yes.
Chi,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Abby, yes, Ava,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Essex,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes.
Rory,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Sydney,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Pilar,
Yes.
Vivian,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Braden,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
CJ,
Yes.
Caroline Dixon,
Yes.
Khalil,
Yes.
Isaiah,
Yes.
Nick Dowling,
He said yes, so I'll say yes for Nick Briggs.
Nick Briggs, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Tanya,
Yes.
okay. Michael Burstein,
Yes.
Jacob,
Yes.
Ethan,
Aye.
Brooke,
Yes.
Aria,
Yes.
Nancy Walker,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Will, Will, okay, moving on. Caroline Wright,
Yes.
oh, I think Will just entered the waiting room. I will call again once he connects audio. Well, can you vote?
Yeah, sorry, kick me off. Yes.
Okay, that's all.
All right, the resolution passes. Congratulations, Ethan. We will move then to the next portion of our agenda, which is reports. So we will start with Miles's report after I share my screen. 1 second, everyone. Okay, Miles, you can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Just as stated before, just for next semester, I'll let you all know about kind of what administration's thinking going forward and how we're moving forward with campus and all that stuff. Whatever meetings I have, I'll make sure to update you all if there's anything really contingent or really pressing. And feel free to reach out if there's any questions you want to know for next semester in regards to what the plan is and how we're setting up. Also, just for the President's Advisory Committee for the next president of Wake Forest University, our full report is due by January, I believe. So we've really been going over a lot of the responses from each advisory committee. That was the faculty, the Board of Visitors, the Board of Trustees, the alumni, and students as well, and just seeing where they would like to see the new president lie and kind of what they want for the next 10 to 15 years of planning and resources and stuff like that. It's quite interesting stuff, but that report should be coming out in January, so that should be a fun time. And then just in regards to student government planning, myself and Dean Wilkinson are just thinking about for next semester how we can continue just the work of keeping campus up and just keeping people engaged. And that would be just through consistent events as we've seen from student government this year, or probably earlier on in the semester. And then how can we continue that for next semester? And then trying to think of how can we bring up COVID concerns in student government altogether and make sure that we're not just piloted on one committee, but making sure that we're kind of facilitating other people to get involved in that process and reach out to others. So just some things, food for thought for next semester. But as time gets closer to next semester, I'll let you all know what that will look like, and obviously what the plan looks like and what the planning for the next president looks like as well. But that's all I got, unless anybody has questions. And then pending questions, Ally's report is next.
Does anyone have questions for Miles's report? Okay, we will move on to my report then. So winter break, thank you everyone for that great discussion. Just once again, if you have any thoughts, concerns, general comments, please feel free to send them my way. But we being exec, cabinet, and anyone who is appointed to a specific working group or is participating in anything like that, will do our best to keep everyone updated in the process, especially in the group chat. So make sure that you have those notifications on if that's something you want to be involved in over the winter break. I am interviewing cabinet applicants this weekend. There are 2 open spots. They're in campus life and judiciary. And so before the end of this semester, we should have those spots filled. But just pausing for a moment, I'm not sure if they're both here, but I did want to take a moment to thank and appreciate the work of Sebastiano and Annie that they've done this semester. We really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. Unfortunately, neither of them will be on campus next semester, so sad face on that one. But we are very, very lucky to have you in our organization and to have had you in cabinet this year. So we're interviewing those positions, and we're very thankful that the 2 of them have had those positions thus far. We will reconvene February 2nd. Correction has been made there, so mark your calendars February 2nd, and your committees will meet after that during that week. And then only other thing for me is that we will be doing mid-year feedback forums. Like Miles said, we're trying to look forward to how we can be better as an organization next semester. And so at the beginning of next semester, after you've had some time to reflect on this past semester, we will send out a little bit of a feedback form. It's optional, it's anonymous, just about how we can improve for our student body moving forward. And good luck on finals, everybody, and happy holidays. And thank you for making this a great semester. I've really enjoyed getting to know you all, even if it's through a screen. But does anyone have any questions? Okay, we can move on to Victoria then.
Hi guys, so I'll be delivering the care packages to the hotel on December 6th. Here's some pictures of them. I was able to make about 100, so hopefully they will brighten people's days. And thank you to those of you that wrote notes. That was very helpful to me. SBAC will resume meeting on February 2nd. Budgets are due February 5th, and the budget cycle begins on February 8th. That's all I have.
Any questions for Victoria? It was very impressive that she did all of those by herself. So thank you, Victoria, on that one.
Yeah, no problem. It was kind of fun to do.
Okay. If there are no other questions, though, we will move on to Caroline.
Hey everyone, I finished the first semester report for student government, so that includes your Senate and committee attendance and an update on how many extracurriculars you've completed. I'll send that out after Senate tonight. And I just want to let everyone know that we're not going to be counting attendance against anyone this semester because we recognize it's been hard for everyone because of COVID and there's been extenuating circumstances. However, we really want to make sure that people going into next semester are more cognizant of making the commitment to attend Senate and committees meetings in the future. And then also for your extracurriculars, don't worry if you don't have 2 right now because you just need to complete all of your extracurriculars by the end of the academic year. So by the end of the spring semester, you'll just need 4 in total. So you have extra time to complete those as well. And then have a great winter break.
Thank you, Caroline. Does anyone have questions for Caroline's report? Yes, Armon.
For the extracurriculars next semester, will we get notifications about when we have those opportunities?
Yes, I will try to send them out in the student government group me, and then they'll also be on the student government Google Calendar which if you have problems accessing the student government calendar, please contact me. And you can just send me an email or text me, whatever is easiest for you. But definitely we'll try to update you on what the extracurriculars will be.
Essex, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. I may have just missed this on the sheets, but I was looking right before Senate. Are we getting an extracurricular for Love Feast candle distribution, or is that not happening?
Yes, you did get an extracurricular for Love Feast distribution if you helped out with that. And it should be reflected on the report that I send out tonight.
Any other questions? Sorry, Essex. Any other questions? Okay, we can move on to Drew's report then. He is unfortunately not with us tonight, but he is brainstorming President's Leadership Series for the spring, and he wants you guys to all know to have a happy holiday and stay safe, and he misses everyone already. So does anyone have questions for Drew? All right, we can move on then to committee reports. Or sorry, Tim, my lovely advisor, Tim Wilkinson.
Right, you take a week off and it's like I'm forgotten.
I'm sorry, Tim. Do you want me to just like text you a couple more times so that you know that you're not forgotten?
No, that's a fair point. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Tim.
Hi,
Tim.
How are you, Tim?
I'm good. It's good to see you all in mostly different places. I'm glad you all got home safely, and I'm glad that we got through the semesters. Couple things. Some of this I talked about already, but just to give you more specifics. So our interviews are progressing well. We're going to have 3 finalists through Zoom next week for our assistant director position. So student union can be fully staffed again. And then our director position, we're doing first round interviews right now with the goal of doing final interviews the week before the holiday break. So our hope is that we can be fully staffed up by the beginning of February. That's going to be important because what Miles mentioned, I'm on a few different committees looking at various lessons learned from the fall semester. One of the things that we're obviously looking at is sustainable programming, knowing that we are going to be, in the winter and temperature being, I'm struggling with my words today. It's going to be cold. Going to be cold for a couple months. And how do we make that work? We're talking about a few different ideas that we're going to need your thoughts on. One is trying to cluster smaller events. So instead of having one movie night by one organization, having 5 or 6 movie nights by 5 or 6 organizations at the same time, so that kind of bigger feel, as well as some smaller scale, how we grow our smaller scale programming. We've done some assessment that I'd want to share with you. Some of you may have participated in it. We put an assessment out to almost 780 first-year students, students who we have tracked as attending events or initiatives on Cork, because we're trying to gauge first semester freshman sense of belonging. We did this last year for many of you if you're part of our first 6 weeks initiative, and we found some interesting things. Not surprisingly, we found some downturns. For example, first-year students this semester feel less like they're part of something greater than themselves, which is not entirely shocking considering we're not able to do large-scale events right now. We also see a student downturn in students who feel like their social goals were met. Now, that means many different things to many different people, but we kind of code it as we look at some of our answers as not being able to meet people, not being able to attend events, having limited opportunities. So that's not entirely shocking. We went from about 85% of our first year students feeling like their social goals were being met to about 70%. Then we saw a few interesting things. One, we asked students, have they been able to achieve personal goals? Now that could mean anything from I found a specific skill or experience that excited me to I found friends or I found formal involvement opportunities. Last year, we had about 63% of our first year students say that they achieved that in their first semester. This semester, that's 75%. So that's exciting to us. It tells us that students are finding individual connection. And the other thing that excited us is one of the questions we ask is, through events and initiatives you're involved with, did you find people that you want to connect with again? Last year, we were at about 78%. This year, we're at about 80, a little over 80%. So we're glad to see that sustained and grew. What this tells us is that even though we're not able to do large scale events right now, we are able to create initiatives, and first year students are finding opportunities to continue to connect. So one of the things that we're trying to do is figure out, how do we recast expectations for the spring semester? We know that there are going to be a lot of opportunities, and we've got to figure out, in the first semester, we figured out how to do things safely. Now we need to figure out how to do things more broadly. So expect me to be asking your assistance in figuring out what that looks like. Miles, that's a very cute lion. I think everybody's kind of focusing on it right now. You're taking away from my report, but that's couple other things very quickly. We are going to be, as we staff back up, we are looking for a student employee who has graphic design and social media expertise, somebody who could work 10 to 12 hours a week. It's going to be a paid position. We are trying to augment our social media presence, and an undergraduate who can work with us to tell the story of student organizations and individual student leaders. So if you know of anybody, or if you are somebody who has social media and graphic design experience, please let us know. We're obviously going to do some sort of interview process, but it will be a paid position. Victoria Parker, where are you?
I'm here.
There you are. Two things. One, I have a $5,000 invoice that I need to send you from President's Leadership Conference that I forgot to send you. So I will send that.
Yes, please send that to me.
Yes, I told Amy today that this would stress you out. Secondly, to stress you out more, and I can't remember the name of it and I can't find it. Victoria, were you the recipient of an award recently?
Yes, I was. It was the Vice President Exemplary Leader Award.
And Victoria, why did you win this award?
For being Panhandle President this year.
Yay, can everybody give Victoria a round of applause? If you know of other award winners at Wake Forest at any point in student government and you need me to embarrass them, please let me know. And lastly, I'm happy you're all home. I hope you all get through finals well. I hope you all have happy holidays, and please stay safe. And feel free to reach out to me. I am working right up until the 22nd, and then back on the 3rd. We are still working. Thanks all.
Thank you, Tim. Does anyone have questions for Tim?
I have a question. I know how the conduct process works for like individuals that break the like COVID rules, but my question is for student organizations that like don't go through event planning and still have events, is there any sort of I don't know, consequence or?
Sure. Could there be? Yes, absolutely. I would tell you it's very, I'll use my usual COVID/alcohol comparison. If we receive proof and or enough verification to move forward, or let me rephrase, if we receive allegations, we'll investigate. If that leads to proof and or testimony that we can verify, we can take that to a conduct process. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. If I should preface, and I have no idea what Victoria's talking about. If it's a recognized organization, it would go through a conduct process. If it's an unrecognized organization, we would most likely work through it based on if it happened off campus, for example, the individuals who live in a facility or something that we feel like sponsored it.
Any other questions for Tim? Okay, we will now move into committee reports. Sorry again, Tim, but academic, you guys can go ahead.
Yeah, so next week we have a meeting with ODOC. Dean Gillespie will be there. So send us anything that you'd like us to bring up. It's on Wednesday, so just get it to us before then. And Ava, do you want to talk about the second one?
Yeah, so Caroline and I are still working with GNAN and PR to do the planning for Academic Resource Awareness Week next semester. So if you have any ideas that you want to share with us, feel free to text or email either myself or Caroline. And wishing everyone good luck on finals next week.
Thank you, academic. Do you guys have any questions for academic? Okay, we can move on to campus life.
Yeah, so we've been working in committee on brainstorming for Mental Health Week, and I'm meeting with the PR co-chairs this week to discuss marketing for Mental Health Week. We also met with Vice President Rue last week, and Tim is free to interject on anything I say, but she said that we plan on coming back to campus next semester unless public health guidelines prohibit us coming back. And she also wanted to know, sorry for my dog barking in the background, by the way, but she also, her office wants to know like how students feel about the COVID-19 code of conduct addendum and how is it handled by the school, if punishments are too harsh, not harsh enough, or stuff like that. So if anybody has any ideas, feel free to reach out to anyone in campus life and let us know. And also just want to thank Annie for all of her work this semester for the campus life, and we're looking forward to figuring out who our new co-chair is.
Thank you, Dave. Does anyone have questions for campus life? Okay, we will move on then to D&I. If anyone has questions for D&I, feel free to ask those now. Okay, we will move on then to judiciary.
Everyone, most of our stuff is a continuation of last week, but I think it's nonetheless important. So for our code of conduct stuff, I'll be meeting with Dr. Still next week, to discuss the possibilities for a Canvas course and the prospects for a judicial coalition. If you have specific suggestions for what you might like to see on Canvas, so for example, if you're in a Greek organization and you've experienced some sort of policy violation in the past, and you might like some sort of reminder about that on Canvas, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to insert that into my final recommendations to Dr. Still. So please do that sometime in the next week or so. The coalition is coming together. As I mentioned last week, Judiciary is finalizing our initial outreach plan and discussing our policy priorities, i.e. plagiarism, tech policies, guide to community living, alcohol, among other things. Our objective at present is to get the coalition up and running by next semester. If you have potential contacts or policies you might like to see promoted, once again, feel free to just reach out to me. Quick note on Democracy Week. As I mentioned last week, the new date for our first simulation at Reynolds High will be on the 14th and the 16th. As some of you may have seen as well, we decided to postpone the practice simulation for SG until the spring. I realize now, reflecting on it, that basically, as I've mentioned Democracy Week throughout the semester, it's primarily dwelt in semantics and really hasn't gone to actually showing you all something. So tonight I wanted to just give you a brief preview of what one of our activity sheets looks like, because this will be an extracurricular event next semester. And I want everyone to get a better understanding of what this might actually look like, especially the simulation. So you might feel more encouraged to come out. But let me just go ahead and just give you can I have screen sharing, Allie, or do you want me to send you the packet?
I'm gonna see if I can do it since I'm not the host. So give me 2 seconds.
Thank you.
You should be able to now.
Perfect. Okay, can everyone see that? I'll take that as a yes. So basically, this is just one of our activity sheets, and we hope to use this on the 14th in particular. I've shown this to Cabinet, but reflecting on it, this has not been shown to Senate. So I wanted to have just a few minutes tonight just to show it to you all. But basically, what this seeks to achieve is it encourages students to think critically about the problems that affect our community and the values that are behind those political decisions. It also gives some insight into the negotiating process for students and how they can best navigate that. This is basically achieved through a roughly 1 hour simulation process with recommended 20 to 30 students and one moderator. Basically, this puts students into various stakeholder positions, and they have to navigate a hypothetical political problem. In this case, it's an environmental problem, and I'll detail that in just a moment. But basically how this simulation works is that students will meet with their stakeholder group, and you'll see those in a second. They'll then go and talk about their policy priorities, sit down for 5 minutes to have a very more of like a formal forum session with the other stakeholder groups. After that, they'll go into what we call informal negotiations, wherein they meet with other representatives from other stakeholder groups and attempt to get their policies enacted or find common ground, for instance. That process repeats itself until we reach the post-discussion forum, which is basically just kind of a wrap-up of the event. Some other instructions, some background. Basically, this problem revolves around this company, this natural gas and oil company, moving in to the local Winston-Salem area, which is by no means Winston-Salem, North Carolina, although we certainly hint to it. And basically what the EPA found in this hypothetical political situation is that this natural gas and oil company had actually contaminated local water supplies, which endangered this lovely bird you see up here, which we cleverly titled the Winston crane. So that's the political situation that students will have to navigate. They are given some background on Winston-Salem and kind of its makeup and whatnot. Here are the various stakeholder groups. We have Drax Incorporated, which is the natural gas and oil company. We have Drax Labor Union, Fish and Wildlife Services, the Homeowners Alliance, Sustainable Small Business Alliance, and the Winston-Salem City Council, which in essence is the teacher moderator role. We have various reports here that students can consult. And then the hypothetical political map. So here's like the factory here, and then the water matriculates down the stream here, and it affects the Winston crane. And then you can look at the various constituencies within the city. But basically, that's how it works. Each student will get a stakeholder sheet based on whatever stakeholder group they're in. They'll use that and then go from there. And then they have these worksheets they can work through. But basically, this is kind of an overview. I'd be happy to share this with you all if you'd like to look through it. But this is, I think, the baseline for where we want this to go. After our event on the 14th, we'll have a follow-up on the 16th, and then we'll share our feedback come next semester. But we're excited to see where this goes, and hopefully you'll jump on board next semester. So thanks for indulging me for a moment, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Ethan. I would just like to say that I have seen this now 3 or 4 times, and I still am amazed by it. So this is really impressive work. On behalf of all of Judiciary, actually. Is there anything else you need to report, Ethan or Sebastiano?
I think that's about it. Thanks.
Any questions, everyone? Okay, we can move on then, but great work, Ethan. Public relations.
Hi, everyone. So we're just continuing to work with Jean Ann on the Academic Resources Awareness Week. We have a couple more meetings set up, and then we're starting to pull together the slogan and our graphic that we want and all of those cool things. So that's we're gonna be working on that a lot over break. We're gonna just keep reposting over the Instagram account over break. And again, reach out to us if you need anything, need a graphic made, or have any questions or anything. And good luck on finals.
Thank you, Jess. Does anyone have questions for PR? All right, we can move on then to fiscal planning.
Hey everyone, so we're just looking ahead to Earth Week, still brainstorming about that in April, and we are waiting to hear about a meeting that academics are going to have in the near future to figure out a little constituent concern. And I hope y'all have a great last week of classes and finals. Y'all got this. I know it's hard, but just the final lap. Meredith, do you have anything?
Not really. Just going off what Megan said, if y'all want to see anything in Earth Week, I'll just reach out to one of us so that when we go to the meetings, we can like bring up those ideas and hopefully get them implemented.
I'm really, really holding out for succulents. But that's my personal wish. Does anyone have any questions for physical planning? Okay, then we will move on to SOC, who has nothing to report. But Rory or Amber, would you like to add anything?
Have a great rest of your semester, guys. Don't do well during final, or you should do well during finals. Don't not do well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, any questions for SOC? All right, we will move on then to the rest of our agenda once my computer screen decides that it can close out the PowerPoint. Cool. Does anyone have Senate reports? Constituent concerns?
Yeah, I had one.
Go ahead. Dan.
So I was just concerned because I don't know how many people are left on campus. I'm one of those people, and I've been having trouble getting food. I have no car and I cannot leave. And everything closes really early, and the only two things that are pretty much open are like Subway and the Pit. I was just wondering about that because I'm going to be here until the 13th of December.
Dana, shoot me an email. I know I can help you with this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other constituent concerns?
I just have one for PR maybe. On the student government website where the archives are for legislation from this session, I think it was Senate Resolution 7 about the appointment process. There was a typo in the name of that. I think it was just like amending like senatorial process or something. Could we just like possibly include the word like appointment process in that just so there's greater clarity?
Yeah, definitely. We can fix that.
Anything else? Constituent concerns, anyone?
I had something I brought up in cabinet that I think physical planning and academic are working on, and Megan put it on her slide, but I just wanted to let everyone else know that there was a concern about the fact that people that weren't on campus this semester but want to come back next semester can and have registered for in-person classes but don't have any guarantee of housing yet. So I don't know if anybody else has heard that concern, but I just wanted to like share that I had and that they're working on that.
Any other constituent concerns? All right, we can move on to announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Okay, y'all are good to go. Please let me know if you have any thoughts about the winter break. Good luck on finals, everyone. We're always here if you want to deal with us, but you don't have to anymore, at least for a few weeks. So have a great break, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.